Welcome to the Government Talk Show. I'm Finn and I'm joined by Himit and Mantra to talk about the Australian government. We'll kick off our discussion today with Himit asking Mantra about his investigation. Then Mantra will ask Himit questions about his investigation. Finally, Finn will ask Himit questions about his investigation.
Okay, so Mantra, what's the topic?
My topic is why do we have to pay taxes?
Okay, so some of the questions I am going to ask you is, can we not pay taxes? And why do we have to pay taxes? When is paying taxes going to stop? Why do we have to pay taxes more in the city of Adelaide? And why don't kids pay taxes?
Okay, so we cannot pay. We have to pay taxes, so you generally can't avoid paying taxes because in Australia, tax evasion leads to penalties, interest and legal consequences. However, you do not tax if your income is below the $18,200 tax-free threshold, or if you receive specific acceptance payments, certain penance and volunteers.
Wow, that was really interesting.
Yeah, so the second question I was going to ask you was, why do we have to pay taxes?
We have to pay taxes because for the essential services and infrastructure that allow a modern society to function. Since many critical services like national defense or public roads are too expensive or inefficient for individuals to provide for themselves. Governments collect minority payments from citizens and businesses to pay for them collectively.
Wow, that was so interesting. I didn't know some of the things in there.
Me too.
So, the third I didn't know that much, so I'm going to ask him some more questions. The third question is, when is paying taxes going to stop?
Paying taxes is not going to stop. Instead, the Australian government is implementing further tax cuts with rate and reductions scheduled for the 1st July of 2026 and the 1st July of 2027. The lower tax burdens and combat bracket creep, while income tax does not, and investment earnings in an account-based pension are tax-free from age 60.
That was very interesting. I still want to know more about taxes. So the second last question I'm going to ask is, why do we have to pay taxes more in the city of Adelaide?
We have to pay more taxes in the city of Adelaide because taxes in the city of Adelaide are generally than surrounding suburban councils due to a combination of high infrastructure maintenance costs, high proportion of tax acceptance 2020 as of 2025 and 2026.
Wow, that was really interesting.
Yeah, so the last question I'm going to ask you is, why don't kids pay taxes?
Okay, so kids under 18 generally don't pay income tax because they usually earn below the tax-free threshold. They earn between the threshold and $18,200 annually in Australia, or their income is considered low. Special higher tax rules apply to passive income like trust and distributions to prevent adults from avoiding taxes. But employment income is usually taxed like an adult?
Wow, that
Well,
was an interesting mantra.
I for one believe it's a good thing that the kids don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah, same.
Now Mantra will ask Finn questions about his topic.
So, Finn, what is your topic?
I'm so glad you asked. My topic is, what is Parliament House?
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you 5 questions about the Parliament House. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, what is the Parliament House? Are there any Indigenous members of the Parliament? How many rooms are there? Are there any interesting pieces of artwork? Is there really a prawn-shaped fossil in the marble foyer called the Shone of the Prawn?
Parliament House is the meeting place of the Parliament of Australia. It's where laws are made and people debate and present bills. It's also where the Senate and the House of Representatives sit.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you the second question. Are there any Indigenous members of the Parliament?
Yes, there are, which is a really good thing. There are 3 in the House of Representatives and 8 in the Senate. The story of how they got there is actually quite funny. People said that if they got voted in, they would put Indigenous people into Parliament. They thought no one was going to vote for them because of that promise, and were surprised when people did vote for them and they won the election.
Oh, that was great. Now I'm gonna ask you the third question. How many rooms are there?
There are 4,700 to be exact, covering a whopping 250,000 square meters. 2 rooms that you might know of are the House of Representatives and the Senate.
Oh, there's so many rooms. Now I'm gonna ask you the 4th question. Are there any interesting pieces of artwork?
In fact, there is a giant one, an Aboriginal mural out front to represent Australia before colonisation.
Okay, so this is the last question I'm going to ask you, Finn. Is there really a prawn-shaped fossil in the marble foyer called the Shone of the Prawn?
Yes, there is actually fossilized pieces of coral that are over 345 million year old fossilized coral that is shaped like a prawn, and most people who visit it call him Sean the Prawn. He's located on the first landing on the stairs.
Oh,
To the left as soon as you enter the marble foyer.
that is really old and interesting. Thank you for your time in your questions.
It's my pleasure. Next up, Finn will ask Himmet questions about his topic. So, Himmet, what's your topic?
My topic is kind of long, but I'll walk you through it. So it's called, what are the differences among the House of Representatives, the lower houses and upper houses of Australian state, territory and federal governments?
Okay, are you ready for your first question?
Yes.
What are the roles of the Senate?
So the roles of the Senate are like reviewing laws, and the Senate is considered the upper house of Australian federal government, and they review and check bills. So, and they it's like they have the power to delay, reject, or change bills. Yeah, so that's it. of the Senate.
What are the roles of the House of Representatives?
So the House of Representatives is the lower house of the Australian federal government. So there are 151 seats to be exact in the House of Representatives, and each member represents electorate and the Australia. So they introduce bills. Most bills introduced in the House of Representatives, and then they pass it to the Senate.
Wow, that's really interesting. Could you answer another one of my questions?
Yeah, sure.
What are the roles of the House of Assembly?
Well, the House of Assembly is basically the same thing as the House of Representatives, but at state level. So they do state laws and minor laws, and they represent the electorate in the state and represent the state. For South Australia, to be exact, there are 47 electorates and seats.
Wow, thanks. I think I understand, but could you answer a few more questions for me?
Yeah, okay, that's
I
okay.
only have 2 more.
Okay, that's okay.
What are the roles of the Legislative Council?
Okay, so the roles of the legislative councils are they're just like the Senate, but at state level. So they review the laws which are passed by the House of Assembly, sometimes called the Legislative Assembly, and they review laws, and they have the same powers as the Senate, but they can't introduce money bills.
What are the roles of the Legislative Assembly roles for territories?
So sometimes people mistake the Legislative Assembly for states, such as the other states, and they are a mix of combination of the Senate and the House of Representatives, but they are mixed as one lower house. So they review the laws and they introduce new laws, and then when it's passed, they pass it not to the governor but to the federal elector.
Wow, that's so interesting. I never knew any of that. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, that's okay.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Government Talk Show.
Bye.